और अगर हम वहाँ एग्जाम देने जाएंगे तो क्या गारंटी है कि हमें कोरोना नहीं होगा?
Students can be promoted on internal assessment basis.
हम लोग को वैक्सीन भी नहीं मिल पाया अभी तक, तो हम लोग सबसे ज़्यादा vulnerable है.
Yeah, I insist the university to conduct separate examination for admission and cancel the board in this unprecedented situation.
400-500 बच्चे, 200 बच्चे, 100 बच्चे जिस स्कूल में आएंगे अलग अलग घरों से निकल के, हम दोबारा से एक पेंडोरा बॉक्स नहीं खोल रहे होंगे, सुपर स्प्रेडर के रूप में स्कूल्स को आगे ला रहे होंगे. These are extraordinary times. We can't have normal solutions to these extraordinary times. We have to have extraordinary solutions which are never tried or tested also.
Hello everyone, you're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. Do we as a nation attach too much of premium on class 10th and 12th board examination? This year has been an exceptional year, extraordinary because of the pandemic. But the uncertainty over class 12th board exams continues because several states are of the opinion that the exams must be held in a different format, perhaps reducing the duration of the entire examination. But the students continue to maintain that the exams be cancelled. In fact, the cases are dipping across the country, namely in the urban areas. Students, parents and even state governments have raised the alarm, saying the exams should either be scrapped or postponed when the second wave is effectively under control. Many exams have been held during the pandemic, but the second wave is a different beast with the mutant strains targeting children. The B1617 variant, which has fueled the second wave, has affected more children, where those as young as newborns have been infected with this virus. It is unclear whether the exam infrastructure is prepared to tackle this grave threat, namely in the urban areas. And the concern certainly is that the children are not eligible for the vaccine, while there is massive crunch across the nation making it difficult for all teachers and invigilators to be inoculated as well. On top of that, mucormycosis cases are on the rise, which are also affecting children. Meanwhile, something that's constantly overlooked is the mental stress on children. They have fallen sick. Even family has been affected by the virus, and in the middle of this, they have to prepare for these critical, crucial exams. In fact, a 15-year-old student has filed an intervention application before the Bombay High Court after a plea to conduct the board exams as soon as possible. Rishan Sarode from Pune has said in his application that children are under stress due to COVID and exam uncertainty, appealing to the court to take the opinion of psychologists and psychiatrists to understand the mental health condition of school kids. As things stand today, the dates and format will be out on June 1st and the CBSE is likely to conduct the board exams. A final call is yet to be taken. But what is the way forward? Many chief ministers are talking about unlock measures, but is the exam infrastructure COVID ready? Can the exams be held safely? Is there a plan to bridge the urban-rural divide, namely if the online route is taken? Will it be prudent to postpone the exams when the second wave is truly under control? Or is it just too unsafe and a logistical challenge to hold these exams and hence they must be scrapped? Joining me on the show, Dr. C.B. Sharma. He is the professor at the School of Education, IGNOU. Kavita Das is principal, St. John's High School, Chandigarh. We'll be also joined by some students on the show in just a bit. I'm going to begin with you, Dr. Sharma. The students are making this argument, which is in many ways a valid one, that entrance examination is the route to several super specialty courses, be it medicine or engineering. Even in top courses in several universities across the country, it is the entrance examination route. Then what really is the purpose of these class 12th exams?
No, I think colleges and institutions which hold entrance tests test students for certain competencies. the 12th class exam and the certification is on a national standard for various competencies that a child must have. So the engineering test for IIT doesn't have English, doesn't have Tamil, but the 12th exam has 2 languages or 3 languages and different subjects. Do not compare admission tests of various institutions with the board exam. It is a national standard test, and this is done by every country across the world. By saying that hold one exam or one paper and certify, you are denigrating the whole concept of a national assessment test where you standardize boards across the country and certify students for certain competencies. Take that word very seriously.
Yes, but Dr.
Certain
Sharma, these are exceptional, extraordinary times. If the students are saying that they are stressed, they are mentally stressed, there have been deaths in families, and they are not mentally prepared to take the examination, can all this, what you are saying, apply in these times?
I will have to give you a strong answer as an academic. We were facing acute times, difficult times. We did not have oxygen. Did we arrange oxygen in 15 days? You are not caring about the mental health and academic health of 2 crore children of the country. You are not ready, and that is why you want to say don't hold exam. I'm reminded of the statement of an American doctor when they said that there is pandemic, what do we do? He said, go and ask Maradona, who you have been funding all these years. If you were not prepared, if the boards have not prepared and they have not done the exercise, don't say that we should as academics hand over a certificate which the child is not worthy of. We must have done the homework.
So
we
let me get a word from Rishan, because Rishan has approached the Bombay High Court and he is of the opinion that the psychiatrists and psychologists must be consulted before these exams are held. Rishan, the class 10th exams in most states have been cancelled already. The CBSE has done so, so has the ICSE board. My question is, what is the need for a petition of this nature?
So actually, I'm from Maharashtra and our board exams were cancelled last month. And now again, there has been a petition that the board should, take place. But since 1 month, the students have not been studying and they have joined different classes for 11. And that mental preparedness for an exam and the environment of giving an exam, it's all gone now. And the government cannot just tell us like machines to give the exam, do not give the exam, because we are the first batch who is witnessing the pandemic and giving the 10th. So I think they should consider our mental health too, because we cannot give the exams and not give the exam just in 1 month.
Okay, Dr. Sharma, what will you be telling him?
See, I would tell my child, look, those who have been preparing for 4-5 years, they are also saying, please hold the exam and let me go forward. In any class, in any exam, 85% of students are not very confident and they are always in a mood to get the exams postponed. Exam is a difficult thing. We all get scared appearing for an exam, but we have to write the exam. Look, 4 years down the line, if someone tells you, you have a certificate which was not really certified by the board and they have just promoted you, so we won't consider you for a job. Let me remind you of a Bihar example. When Karpuri Thakur became the chief minister and he was very anti-English, he said anybody who is not able to pass in English will be allowed to pass class 11 exam. Then we had only one board and that will be minus English. Nobody gave jobs to those who had passed class 11 without English.
Rather than this. I agree with these students when they say that there is extraordinary pressure on them. Kavita Das, there are 2 proposals that is there before this group of ministers and the academicians. They are looking at 2 options, 2 formats, perhaps reducing the duration of examination. But as students have been arguing, it's a very scientific argument being put forth by them. They are of course referring to what experts in the country have been saying, that this is airborne, that this variant is airborne, which gets transmitted in just 15 minutes. So what really is the point of reducing the duration of 3-hour examination to a 1.5-hour examination when you continue to be in a space which is prone to infection?
I think, Mari, we really need to, look at the facts. The fact is, let us assume, I mean, I'm not a great proponent of exams in any case, right? I don't think in 3 hours you can really judge the worth of full potential of a child. But let us look at the reality of the situation. Let's say we do away with exams, okay? Where are you going to go? How are you going to gauge your children? The only option left then is either you just give them a pass certificate. And we know that a lot of other, you may talk about the entrance exams for the non-medical, etc., and engineering, but for the other subjects and for the other streams, the entrances are based in colleges on their marks. So what marks are you going to give the kids? Are you going to base it on internal assessment? If you are going to base it on internal assessment, the question arises, were the children aware that they were going to be based on this? Many of them have not taken it seriously. Some of them, as you said, have been facing traumas at home. Some of them have just taken it easy. Some of them have felt that, okay, I need to prepare for my entrance exams. Therefore, I will study for my board when it comes around. Right? And therefore, the marks which are there with the schools are not really reflective of the abilities of the children. And if we were to use those marks to decide the future of our children, how fair are we being to our kids? Are we going to take a child who's actually a topper but just hasn't studied and give him passing marks?
I want to understand if for the last 1 year students have been largely at home and the entire education has been offline, then what is the solution or the best assessment possible according to you? How do you assess them?
If you want an objective assessment which is fair across the country, you're going to have to hold some kind of exam. Now, the question is online, offline. If it was possible for every child in India to sit for online, okay, then they're all facing the same issues. They all have the same advantages. But let's go to our villages. How many of our children there have access to internet? I know in my own school, many kids didn't. We had to arrange mobiles for them, thanks to our alumni, right? So you can't. I mean, online exams are just not feasible for the whole country. And if you're going to make it a choice, is it fair again?
Fine.
We have to have a common
there is a huge
exam,
urban-rural divide. There is a digital divide in India, and an online examination is not going to give level playing field. There'll be power disruption. There is internet disruption. That's the truth of students who are studying in small towns in villages of India. Let me get a student now on the show, Raman Gupta. He is a class 12 student, CBSE board, and he is studying there in Singapore. Raman, here is the principal, and she is making this argument certainly that there has to be an assessment of how well you have done, and the only way forward is to hold an examination, even if it means certainly an offline examination, because an online examination will not be giving a level playing field.
Hi, this is Raman. So, greetings to all on the panel. Ma'am, I would like to ask you one simple question. Does the safety of students and their families precede our career, our academic career? Secondly, I'm stressing on the issue of CBSE class 12 exams, because whatever decision the education ministry takes on June 1st, that won't just apply to the 12 lakh students appearing for class 12 exams. That will set a precedent for all other state boards, all other testing agencies, entrance examinations, and they will also proceed on the path of conducting offline exams. This is not a decision affecting the 12 lakh CBSE students. It's affecting over 1 crore students and their families. So if CBSE goes ahead with the offline examinations, it's going to be a haywire. You're preventing weddings with 100 people, but you're asking students to go for exams with 200. What are the differences in the measures? The measures are the same. We have taken the measures for over a year. Still, India is ending up with deaths, right? We have seen that it affects the young the same. Now, with your point, I agree with your point that there has to be an assessment for them to move forward. Then why not explore other options? You're saying that online is not possible because of the digital divide in India. But do you realize if we go for offline exams by giving the argument that online is not possible, that we might lose student lives here? We have to really get over the obsession of exams. We have to prioritize. We have to think
Raman, you are making an argument for life over students' career, fine enough. That's a valid argument, I must tell you, Raman.
Okay.
But tell me, how should you be assessed then?
Okay, I think school examinations is a very, very good way to be assessed. And as far as ma'am said that they haven't studied for the school examinations all through the year, I think the grades can be inflated. Honestly, I'm telling you that, some parents and some teachers give the argument, oh, how can I pass? How can we pass the students? They have not even studied or given the exam. The ground reality is that a CBSE class 12 student with 90% does not get admission in a good university, what we call a good university. So giving them a pass certificate or some sort of an internal assessment for them, which can, give them all a passing certificate, a high school diploma, allows them to move forward. And offline exams is certainly not the way. You're thinking about the best way to conduct exams. Yes, offline might be the best way to conduct.
Fine enough. Yes.
Yeah.
Seema Agarwal is a member of Hyderabad School Parents Association. Seema, here is a student making the argument that the only way, yes, you make an assessment, that is needed. How else will the students realize what have they spent time in the last 1 year? But don't hold an examination at a time when you have stopped all congregation. A wedding should not have more than 100 people, but in an examination hall or in a compound or a building where such an examination will be held, there will be more than 100 students.
Yes, ma'am. It should not be there. Whatever we can see that there are so many fatalities and such a bad situation is there all around. And the decision to hold the offline exam is completely beyond understanding. How can we put the life of the students at risk? It's not only the life of the students at risk, we are delaying the whole of the process. And we will be putting their careers at stake. It will be delayed for 2-3 months. July and then again September, they will be finish the exam by August. Some states which have decided to conduct the offline
what do you want then? The government says that let there be examination. If not, the first format which will involve 3-month period, let there be examination format which will get over in 45 days. What do you think? Should there be examination, a delayed examination, perhaps in September, October, when situation is better, most of the students may perhaps even be eligible for vaccination. So, do you think there should be examination only after vaccination?
No, there should not be any physical examination. Actually, for class 12, it is going to cause a lot of harm for them. And they had been I think since 1.5 years in the same academic year, they are struggling. And they can be assessed. There are so many ways to do that assessment. And why can't they really use that the way the CBSE board has given for the formula for 10th tenth class students? The same way they can assess the 12th class board students, CBSE board. That should be the way, no ma'am. There are so many ways previous performance is there at their hand. And there are so many other options of Viva or something, or they can really provide.
Instead of Raman, Kavita should respond to this. Kavita, can there be a similar assessment that has been done with class 10? But the problem with that kind of assessment, Seema, is that these students have to apply for higher education, for their bachelors, for their masters, and even some of these students have to apply for varsities abroad, foreign universities. How do they get admission there?
Ma'am, that's what. By chance, if you by any chance the students are not happy with the assessment, they can apply for the re-evaluation or maybe some other Viva or some other project can be given. Maybe some way can be found. But offline exam is completely no for this thing, ma'am. This is really putting the life at risk for this thing. In this kind of a situation is completely
Kavita, quick response from you and then I'll get word from Raman. Please go ahead.
Well, let me for one thing say that the class 10 results which we are doing, I've personally had calls from various principals saying that they are having to drop the marks of certain children because we have had to tailor make it to the best result within the last 3 years. Are children identical? Now, you can do something like this for class 10 because you're usually going to go back to your own school. But again, I keep coming back to the fact that to have a level playing field and to ensure justice for all children, some have studied, no doubt, but a lot have not. I know, even in my school, many have not, and very, very intelligent kids, right? They have been through various different experiences which have not allowed them to sit and take those exams properly.
Yes.
So I am not saying you have to have online. All I'm saying is you have to find a solution then. You cannot use online and you cannot use the present internal tests which have taken place because they are not reflective of children's abilities. Maybe vaccinations, maybe changing, postponing it, maybe declaring a 0 year. We don't know what other options are going to be available. But these two options of online and internal are not something which are going to ensure justice at all in our country.
Okay.
And if
Raman,
we do have it online, let's say we have it offline and the kids come into our schools.
Safety, but at the same time, yes, at the same time, there has to be an assessment. What is this out-of-box thinking that the students can propose?
Yeah, so ma'am, if you would look at boards outside of India, all of them, like, where the, in countries, for example, the IB board, International Baccalaureate Board, in countries where the situation is not feasible to conduct offline exams, they've cancelled. They've taken internal assessment. And as long as applying about international to foreign universities are concerned, let me tell you that, universities outside of India, they have this thing called as holistic admission. They don't need a number to determine if a student is competent enough to be in their class. They have other ways. They have essays. They have extracurriculars. Why can't we as a board and CBSE evaluate students on that basis rather than having to depend on offline exams? Are we that incompetent as a country and a board that we have to rely on offline exams to gauge the ability of a student? And ma'am, what you're saying here that online and internals is not the correct way. I'm saying here that offline exams is the absolute wrong way to conduct exams or to even, to have students assemble and risk their lives. That's not acceptable at all. We can come up with some other ways, but it disheartens me when the principals, teachers say that exams have to be conducted for the fairness of it. It's not so much about fairness as about safety. It really disheartens when someone files a plea in Supreme Court for conduction of offline exams. I have had friends in Delhi whose parents have died, their relatives have died, and what ma'am is saying that there are children in your own school who haven't studied. Let me tell you, there are children in every board, every school, every country that haven't studied. But this time students are not raising voice because they haven't studied. This time they're raising voice because it's their safety, it's their family's safety which is concerned. It is your safety as well, ma'am, principal ma'am. It is about all teachers. And just one last point to sum up my argument that, in youth panchayat elections, over 1,500 teachers have died. And the government has acknowledged that only 3 of them died while on duty. And that's why they gave compensation to only 3. But the ground reality is that 1,500 of them died. It disheartens me to say, it's very appalling to say this, but it might be that if we go ahead with offline examinations, we might even witness student death inside the examination hall. Do you not think that Indian parents and students are so desperate that despite having COVID symptoms, they would not go to the exam and write their examination?
Okay, we have another student as well joining me now, Parnika Malhotra from Modern School, Barakhamba Road. Parnika, you heard from your fellow student making a rather passionate argument that there should not be any examination. What are your thoughts?
I myself feel that the examinations did not be conducted. In fact, over the last few weeks, the COVID situation has been nothing short of a horror story. And at this point, I'm not even going to my balcony without wearing a mask. The situation is just beginning to be in control, but if the board examinations are held in an offline mode, it is just an open invitation to a disastrous third wave. Most of us are between 17 and 18. We have not been vaccinated. There are so many teachers who have lost their lives during election duties, so many family members whom everyone have lost. And we are really not in a mental state to write examinations. Children could be asymptomatic carriers. They could carry the infection home. They could give the infection to their parents, grandparents. Children who have mild symptoms, they could take a medication and go to school the next day so that they do not miss their examinations. We cannot even predict right now if the situation will be better or worse. So prolonging the decision is just, creating more and more agony amongst the students.
Then how should you be assessed? because this is a critical examination. You're sitting on a cusp of your next journey in your careers, where you have to look at your future, your next course of education. How will you be assessed then?
I totally agree that it is an extremely important examination, but there are more alternatives. You can assess us on the basis of our assignments and projects that have been undertaken all throughout the year. There can be some weightage which can be given to the 10th board exams because they were conducted in a fair manner by CBSE. Most of our practicals have been conducted, and the remaining practicals can be conducted online by the Viva, which is usually conducted alongside the practicals. And those people who are not satisfied with their marks can give optional board exams later on a suitable date. Students who have applied for their entrance exams for many professional colleges have secured their foreign university seats and require passing certificates. And they have their deadlines in August, which is again creating a lot of uncertainty among the people, because otherwise they will lose their seats.
So then how will the students who applied for foreign universities get admission? Because that they have a minimum marks and then they need letters of recommendation for admission. That minimum mark requirement will not be met.
I think they have already gotten their acceptances. They just require passing certificates, which they haven't received as of now. And if the examinations would be conducted in, say, July or August, they will lose their seats this year. They will have to reapply the next year with the current 12th batch.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, the students on the panel, the teachers, the parents, for sharing their thoughts. Of course, this is a subject which is being discussed and debated extensively in the governments at multiple levels, all of them looking for solution. Chances are, and it's going in that direction certainly, that the CBSE could very well go ahead and make the announcement of the new format in which the exams will be held on 1st. That announcement will be held, of course, on 1st of June. That's all from me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you tomorrow.